Welcome to the Wake Up Dad Show, a Daddiest production. This podcast is for you, Dad. This is where we talk about all things related to dadhood, from parenting to relationships to financial and physical health. Your hosts, Dr. Scott and Dr. Evan, are two dads who are committed to helping you. Join our Facebook community by searching Daddiest, where conscious dads connect and collaborate. Hey, dads, welcome to the Wake Up Dad Show, brought to you by Daddiest. I'm your co-host, Evan, and this is Dr. Scotty V in the house. He loves it.
He loves that Scotty V thing. No,
I
don't know.
Oh, it's so spoken, buddy. As long as I'm introducing you.
Yeah, that's the way it's going to be. I know.
It's we have with us today, very special guest, Mr. Yale Nogin, and Yale is here. Well, let me actually introduce him a little bit first. So Yale and I met through Facebook, actually. He's doing something really special with dads. I'm going to let Yale share all that stuff. He's married. He's a married dad. He's got 4 kids. What I really admire about Yale is that his philosophies around dadhood. And he's really thought things through, and he's really living it. And what I even admire more is the passion he has for sharing these philosophies and what he's learned through his life with other dads and really making an impact. He really wants to make a big impact in the world, just like we do. And so there's a lot of alignment there. A couple other things that, I find that I really like about Yale is some of the things that he does outside of his passion with dads is actually running a camp, being part of a camp with kids with archery, and he's also works with the Toastmasters and that sort of thing. So, lots of us awesome stuff that he's doing, and really happy that he's here with us today to share what he's got going on. So, welcome, Yale.
Hey, thanks, Evan. That was so nice. I appreciate all that. Yeah, it's great. It's great to be here, man. Reaching out to dads and promoting and awareness and just empowerment for us dads, living the best life that we can.
Awesome. So how about we start off, just give us really high level to start with. What your program is that you've created for dads, who's it for? And we're going to dive into a bit more, but just so they know, what is it that you've created?
Sure. I've created a course called the Hero Dad's Journey, and it is geared towards expecting, brand new, and adopting dads. And it helps them through that transition of pregnancy into and through pregnancy and through the first year of birth. I'm really helping them get set up. I created this roadmap. It's called the 3 roads. And I talk about the roads that most of us, there's only really 3 roads for adult males in a committed relationship while raising children, right? We're either on the road of delight, which is a growth-minded, healthy philosophy, emotional wellness, physical wellness. Then there's this road of despair that so many dudes travel down. It could have been an amazing journey, but maybe they didn't know there was skills or tools or there could be anything better. And then, 50%, man, the road of divorce, which I think so many could be avoided. I think, some people may never have been meant to be together, although so many, I think, if they had some different skills or they knew things could be better, or they met someone who's like, hey, dude, let me help you learn how to understand your woman a little bit better. I just think 50%, that number can be shrunk down if more dudes had, some positive reinforcement and some direction, like, hey, there's another road that you could travel down. So my class is designed to help guys get off onto the right direction. If they're steered in the right place and their heart's in the right place, they want to grow. So I do believe so many dudes want to do a good job. We want to improve. We want to be empowered. And the numbers just say not that many had a good example or lack of an example or a bad example. And things are just so different now. It's just different than 30 years ago when our dads came through. So that's what it's about, catching dudes when they're about to have a baby and it's still wide open. It can be amazing. And I think that change really starts with awareness. And that is, I'm so excited to be in this phase where the course has really been going on for 16 years. So it's been, I've honed and worked, and there are just foundational skills that can help steer the journey, having an idea of where you're going, some good positive ways to think about things, relevant skills, and then the art, right, of fatherhood, which is us being empowered, our best version of ourselves. So we feel free and we're enjoying our life, and we don't, the despair road, man, it makes me crazy. Like, it doesn't need to be, it could be awesome. And yeah, so that's what it's all about. Awesome. Prevention, prepare rather than repair. So that's kind of where I'm at.
That's awesome. So one of the things I've heard a number of times from divorced people is that at some point after the divorce, if I knew then what I know now, probably still be in the marriage.
Right.
Here, that's a common phrase, and and they usually follow that up with, things turned out for the better, or like, I'm happier now. Like,
right.
I mean, the tension's gone, the whole situation's gone. Like, of course, maybe, like, well, maybe not all the time, but I think it comes to,
you
like,
feel better. Your life was a piece of shit so bad you got divorced. Of course you feel better now.
Yeah. Dude, I heard something.
You're gonna follow that up. It's like,
I heard something so funny. There was a comedian, and he's like, I just got divorced. And everyone's like, oh. He's like, no, dude. When someone gets a divorce, you should be like, congratulations. Like, usually it's a good thing. But, it always, look, if it could be avoided, of course it's going to cause less trauma and drama and the whole business,
Well, that's the thing. Like, here's the other thing I hear, is they think that that's going to simplify their life.
Right.
It's the opposite. It's like, it's the opposite. You'll get the odd guy who actually stays single, but so many of them are going to remarry and have another set of kids that they're going to try to blend with their kids. And the whole step dad thing and the step mom thing, it's like, you think that parenting your own kids is difficult, and you're parenting someone else's kids, it layers it. So I don't know, you pick your poison, right? Like, you either like figure it out and learn. And I mean, that's a journey that we're on. And we're really promoting the concept of, like, let's try to keep the family unit strong, because we know that there's going to be a lot of benefits if we can have a good, strong family unit. And there can be a lot of drawbacks from the dad not being present if it does separate. So, which kind of segues me into the next piece is, there's a lot of major problems happening, in dadhood. We haven't really talked about this so much on the podcast, but I know that you're up on the stats. You follow Warren Farrell. You're the stats probably better than I do. And it also that knowledge fuels passion. When you really know what's going on.
Definitely.
I was in a group today, a dad's group, and there was something that came up about bullying. Because this one guy's kid was being bullied in school, and his response, like, not only was his response really not appropriate, like 60% of the dads agreed with him. And I was like,
interesting.
I was like, oh man. And it's like,
well, are you gonna leave us hanging on what did he say?
Right.
You can't tell that story and not
okay, I'll tell the story.
You gotta tell us, because we're like, oh, is that
okay, so here it is. So so he said that his daughter is 4 years old. She's on the bus, first of all.
Oh my gosh.
She's taking a bus. She's 4. I personally, that wouldn't be a thing that I'd be doing, but maybe we'll lose listeners because I said that, but I'd be really cautious. I'd be cautious. And so anyways, his daughter is getting name called by some of the other kids on the bus. And so his response was, just turn to her or them and tell them that they're adopted and their mother doesn't love them, or the parents doesn't love them.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
And he said, appropriate response, ? And there was like, I'm not kidding, like hundreds of comments. And I'm reading through the comments and 50% of them, 60% of them were like, way to go. And I'm like,
wow.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't teach.
You really needed to tell us that, because that I have no words for that. Like I don't even know what to say. I mean, except for, and I don't know who this person is, but I just go, wow. There just needs to be some help there. Like that's the kind of thing that dad needs some help so that he can see how wrong that is, and how teaching his daughter to say something like that at 4 years old. First of all, just what kind of kid at 4 needs to get on a bus? You're not even in school at 4, are you?
Preschool. She's going to preschool. They're putting their kid on a bus for preschool. Like I don't even know how that's allowed.
I thought there was a preschool bus. Yeah.
By herself, a 4-year-old?
Yeah, 4. Yeah.
Wow.
That sounds, I don't know. I don't know. 4 years old. Anyway, I hear what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're not picking this guy apart. I just wrote a post today, and it said, you don't know where other people are. I actually posted this, I think, in the group, guys, the Daddiest group. Check it out. It was a post from a teacher, and it was talking about all the kids at school and how, as parents, there's that troubled kid in school, and you're thinking as the parent of your kid going, well, that troubled kid at school who's taking up all the teacher's time, they're taking away the teacher's time for my kid. And, how's that work? And so it just went on, and it was a great little article. And it just went into the idea of, you don't know what that kid's going through. You don't know that troubled kid who gets in the fights, the bullying, all of that, where it's coming from. And, at home, it could be a bad divorce going on and the parents are abusive, or you just don't know. So I'm not trying to pick on this guy, because we don't know where he's from. We don't know what his background is. Where, that could be, he could be on a road to, he was a lot worse than that. Now that's his response, which is kind of like a joke, but not, or whatever the case is. So not trying to pick on him, but that's exactly what this podcast and this group that we're growing is all about, is to help dads just do better, just
do better.
Just do better.
Yeah. To your point there, I think that is a great point. And that's something that we talk about, a few different things. Number one, bringing the kids awareness. Most of the time, I mean, look, you want to know where bullies come from. I'm just saying, they're coming from houses with dysfunction. If these kids are loved, if there's understanding and some listening to and responsibility and chores, those kids who have structure in the house and discipline. And when I say discipline, I mean order, right? Some structure, some guidance. Those are not the bullies, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. By the way, guys, if you're listening to this podcast, we're actually doing it live on video now. So check it out on YouTube. Go to Daddiest on YouTube, and you can check us out. You can see our ugly mugs.
Well, I mean.
Right. So,
what do you want to say, Em? What do you want to say?
Oh, no. I mean, they could judge. I mean, what's it?
You guys. Handsome and happy.
All right. Okay, so.
Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
not at all.
I'm trying to make a connection.
So my point here is that when the kid, I was always so quick to tell the kids, look, we don't know what's going on in other people's houses to make them act that way. And something I learned was, even though I was giving my kids a high level perspective that, not all houses, operate like ours and communicate, my kids were feeling like I was taking the other kid's side. And what I
Yeah.
learned to do was save my commentary for after. So even though they're telling me about some other kids that were getting bullied and this and that, and I'm always quick to be like, who knows what their house is like, I stopped doing that, listened to everything they said about that circumstance, and it was amazing when I stopped, giving my 2 cents and hearing what they said about their experience. Number one, they felt more connected because I wasn't taking this other kid's side. And then later they were more open to seeing the other perspective. So it's just, two things. One, hearing them out so we can get the whole story. And then it kind of opens them up to hear a bigger perspective after. I have found with the kids that they're more open that way. Anyway, so that's
Absolutely. Absolutely. And with this guy, like, I'm forming a response. And most of the guys' responses were like one-liners, whatever. And I'm like, okay, I feel like this is an opportunity to potentially help this guy step up.
Agreed.
Right? He's got a 4-year-old daughter, and his lesson to her is to come back, when someone's treating you meanly, to come back to them with meanness, which only escalates meanness. And other dads were like, yeah, I was bullied, and then they didn't stop bullying me till I punched them in the nose. And I mean, come on, like, the way it works is it works up to the punching in the nose, and it's over a period of time where it's going to get to that stage where finally something drastic has to happen. And one guy's like, yeah, and I got charged for assault. It's like, that's not the lesson. It's not like treat violence with more violence.
Right.
And to your point, Yale, it's like really about, I think it's really about filling up our kids with love. And like, when they feel very confident in themselves because they've just been filled up at home, they know they're loved, and we've been telling them day in and day out how amazing they are, how smart they are, how strong they are, how beautiful they are, whatever it may be, then it's like they have like a sense of confidence. And yeah, people can be saying stuff to them, but they're not going to get the response that a bully is looking for. Like, the bully is really looking for the emotional response where they're getting attention from somewhere. Right?
Agreed.
And that's the art, I think, in being a dad, is to help educate. This is what they're looking for. This is probably what's going on at home, like you've been doing. And also being intentional about loving on them so much that, they've got that level of invincibility versus the daughter who's got the distant dad that isn't paying attention, that isn't loving. And when somebody makes a comment, they're soft. They don't have that strength behind them. And so, yeah, they can get to them more. And so that's where I think dads can up level is like what you're saying, it's just like combining the art, the philosophy, and all that together with communication.
Agreed. And that dad was loving his daughter the best way he knew how. Like, that's
Absolutely.
the point. Like, he is loving her. He thought he was giving her the best advice from what he knew. And, I think it's not an easy thing because, we're talking, if we're not, it's empowering them, to deal with this kind of stuff and also not to be taken advantage of. So, it's like I told them, I don't think so many of these kids these days, it's not so much fist fights after school. It's digital bullshit. And it's like this, not even face to face. Like, if you're in the schoolyard and someone is bullying you and you stand up to them and they become your buddy anymore. It's so much worse. Like, it's not even, it's terrible. And look, I don't think it's a difficult argument because we don't want them to be taken advantage of. And if anything, to feel courageous to stand up to a person or, I just heard, right, like, hate is only love defeats hate. Like, that's the only thing that's going to do that. And ultimately, these kids, though, the scary part is there's just a lot of kids growing up in unhealthy environments that are miserable, and they're looking for the attention. I mean, look, it's been going on from the beginning of time, bullies and all that. And that's the point. It's time to change this kind of stuff. It could be definitely better. And this dude, if he had a little more perspective, he could give some better guidance. I believe anyway.
I believe too.
I think it's a good point. Like you said, it's been going on since the beginning of time, and maybe Ev will probably agree with me on the cynical one of us too, that it will continue. But the difference is, does it have to be in my life, right? And that's where it starts.
Agreed.
Does it have to be in my life, in my family's life? How are we going to deal with it for me? Because this dude, whether or not he changes, it ain't going to change my life. But if I can learn from that, and then I can do better as a dad for me and my family, that's the key.
100%.
And then when we do that, we become the, I don't know, whatever you call it. What'd you call it? The light. Step
empowered,
one.
dude.
The
it's
light,
empowering.
baby.
Exactly.
Check the light, right? And that, I think that's where we want to be going as dads. And I love what you said when you said you listen to your kids. There's a chapter in the book that we're writing. It's all about if it's broken, don't try to fix it. Right. Listen. And that chapter is actually about when talking with your wife, talking with your partner.
100%.
But I didn't really think about it to extend that out to the kids, whether it's a girl or a boy kid. Just make them feel heard. Yeah, it's awesome. Great.
It's a powerful tool. And when I take guys that never even, they don't know. So, we're supposed to be communicators, but no one taught us this stuff. And then I'm like, how awesome is it? I teach you this little step-by-step, checking in, help me to understand. Like, I'm helping with language to help the understanding. Then teach it to your kid. Like, teach your kid how to listen. Because, unless it's a learned skill. So, and how relevant is that? Then you could have a conversation. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's nice. Then you're walking home. You're like, oh, shit, honey, I learned this skill so I could understand you better. I'm like, there's no wives that are like, forget it. That was real crap that I don't want any of that. Who doesn't want to be understood a little better?
Oh, it's
absolutely.
That's one right there that'll save a lot of marriages.
Wow.
Like exactly. I had a buddy who got divorced, and we were just like totally shocked. And I was like, so like, any, like, what do you got to say? He's just like, make sure you understand each other. That's all he said. He said, just make sure you understand each other.
Right.
Like, that's where his marriage fell apart. There was this lack of understanding. They didn't understand each other. And then I never forgot that.
I say it's hard to keep arguing if you feel understood. Like,
yeah. Oh, totally. It's hilarious. It's like, yeah, okay, no, I get you. And then what? It's like there's nothing left.
Right, it's done. I mean,
it's like, no, you're right. I get it. No, that's right. Or, no, I see now. I see what you're saying. I get it. Yeah, right. It's just like diffuses. It's gone.
Yeah, it's cool.
So
powerful. It's a powerful tool. It's powerful.
Yeah, listening and understanding. So yeah, listening is one thing, but it certainly isn't. It's not everything. Like, it's part of it, right? And that's the thing. You could be listening really well and completely hearing the wrong thing. So it's like, listen to understand, and sometimes that requires question asking, right? And it goes with our kids too, like taking time to ask questions, really understand what they're saying. Because if you're questioning, what did she mean by that? Well, it's a good idea to ask, right?
Absolutely.
And so I think that's a key thing. So, okay, so Hero Dad.
Yeah, baby.
So did you say it's 16 years you've been doing this?
Yeah, since my oldest one.
Have you been doing this since you've been 3 years old?
Yeah, exactly.
You look pretty young.
Thank
You look pretty
you.
young.
Thank you. Exactly.
That is amazing.
Healthy
Yeah,
living,
good.
baby. That's what I'm saying. When you feel pretty good, you know, look, I tell my guys the road of delight. I mean, if you have a healthy relationship with your wife, you're not, you know, groveling, please make love to me. You know, you're enjoying the benefits of being a grown up man, feeling respected with your kids, and the fact that you had a part in creating this healthy environment. I mean, you know, being a dude in 2019, it can be it really, I think it's just, it can be awesome. I mean, it's a good, it's good. I mean, we have everything, you know, that we would need to live a peaceful life, and feeling respected at home, you know, like an old fashioned, you know, self-esteem. It's better than the alternative. It's better than the alternative for sure.
Well, yeah, it doesn't matter where you live in the world. Definitely the life of delight's going to beat despair or divorce. I mean,
Oh
that's
my gosh.
even though if divorces happen, it's going to be probably justified and life's going to be better. But
Shit happens.
it's
So
I still
sorry.
think the life of delight.
So road number one, you called it three. Was it
The road
light
of
or
delight.
delight? Delight. I had
Delight.
the light. I had the road of light. Delight.
Oh,
I like
that's
it.
what you were
I
saying
like it.
earlier. The light.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know it was
Delight.
delight. Delight's even
Delight.
better. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had a question about it. So you go
Shoot.
the road of delight, the road of despair, the road of divorce. Obviously, you know, I would guess most of us want to be at number one there. If
Yeah.
we're at number two, we can make our way up to number one.
100%.
But with number three, we don't have to go through number two to get to number one, do we?
No
It's
way.
not.
I mean,
Yeah.
look,
Good.
it's the matter. I think dudes could change. Look, I just say this. Imagine if tomorrow was the day all men decided, you know what? Just for the hell of it, I'm going to learn to be a better listener. The whole world changes. World peace. I don't know. Like, you can change, you know, it's figuring out, hey, awareness, like there is something different. And, you know, this, yeah, man, being a conscious person enables you to, I think that's the key. So listening to understand all these amazing tools, I think it starts with being a conscious guy. And to be a conscious person, we need to have some self-control. You know, we need to be able to control what we say and how we say it, what we do. And that does take a level of personal discipline and wanting to be able to not act from emotion, which so much of us do. But act from, you know, you're pointed in the right direction, having a philosophy that you can live by, because emotions change so much. You know, we need to be able to be focused enough and conscious enough to stop what we're doing, look at our wife, look at our kids, you know, to be able to slow it down, to be able to listen and understand and all that. So that's, you know, that's a big piece, I think, you know, with consciousness. I totally forgot where this started. But,
Did you know that that's where the name The Wake Up Dad Show came from?
really?
Yeah. It's all about waking up from your unconsciousness.
That's it, man.
Right?
Yes.
You know, it had the pun, of course, of the lack of sleep, right? Especially with young kids, the lack of sleep, wake up, dad, you know, that thing. But it's really all about that whole idea. I toyed with the idea of calling it The Conscious Dad, the podcast. But
Right.
then, you know, and then the tagline was going to be "Wake Up, Dad" or something like that. But then I just switched it around. And so, what you're saying is exactly right. There's so many tools, but it has to start with taking stock.
Yes.
Where am I? Really, where am I?
Right.
And there's a whole list and series of questions you can ask yourself, right?
Exactly.
Am I where I want to be? That's the next
Right.
way. Like, once you find out where you are, it's like, is that where I want to be? And I can guarantee, we talk about the P6 all the time in Daddyist.
Right.
one or two of those P6s, you're probably going to be where you want to be.
Exactly.
Right. It's
We're
the
really
other one.
not that far off. And
That's right.
So many, we're doing the work, but we're missing that piece, you know, the emotional wellness piece, to be able to connect. Like, we do the physical stuff, I think a lot of guys, it's that other, you know, consciousness comes with emotional health and wellness, which we have not been promoted. You know, our emotional, you know, feeling feelings, experiencing emotion. I meet so many guys. I did a workshop the other day, and the guy said, I didn't have feelings growing up. And I'm like, dude, you are a human being, right? Like, what do you mean you don't have feelings? Like, it's part of being a human dude, a person. And not just pushing them down or, you know, escaping. I mean, there's all different ways we hide from, you know, feeling these things. And that has been, you know, being conscious, waking up. That happened for me in a big way, man. And that's something that really drives me to help more dudes. You know, I felt like my wife didn't love me for I don't know how many years because I wasn't feeling feelings. Like, I was scared to do that because they were painful, childhood shit, you know, you bring up. I think everybody has stuff we bring from childhood. And I wasn't conscious because the woman was totally loving me, and I couldn't, because I wasn't feeling my feelings. I wasn't open enough to even experience what it felt like to be loved. And once that changed, well, now I'm like, that's the piece I think a lot of dudes don't recognize, that if we start opening up and experiencing feelings, you know, as a father, part of fatherhood is dealing with emotional shit, kids and wife. I mean, it is the emotional world. And we just haven't been historically exposed to skill sets to help us in the emotional world. It's been like, ignore your feelings, Rambo, you know, no feelings. And it makes us sick. It's not even normal. So,
yeah.
Well,
know,
it
anyway.
really comes back to that idea of being emotional has been seen as a weakness.
Correct.
When in reality, it's one of the biggest strengths we have. Again, it was a really good post in the Daddiest group about that. And one of our buddies posted on there and said, what was the greatest gift that your wife gave you, or something like that. And it was about being able to see that the greatest gift that was given was that vulnerability, that weakness. And it was like, that's pretty cool. Because I came out with a gift, like a Christmas gift kind of thing. And it was a pretty cool gift. It was a pretty cool gift. It was a skydive, right?
Yeah, it was a great gift.
It was amazing. But you know, some of the dads
just,
in there were coming. He just blew it away. I was like, wow! I never even thought it. That's amazing.
It was all so next level, right? It was, yeah. Like, because we're really attracting conscious dads, and I just want to like go back a bit because we're coming full circle a little bit here, I think. And we talked about like the bullying thing, and this guy like just throwing out this comment, and I think I actually thought that he was joking, but I read the comments and he wasn't joking. Like, it wasn't like, you know, he was just fooling around. He was like explaining himself. And I think also part of being conscious is realizing that we're at cause, right? It's like we're actually a cause for what's going on. And
100%. Like,
that 4-year-old girl is looking to you. Like, a big part of what's going to be happening in the playground, at the schools, in your neighborhood, are because of what's happening in your home.
100%, dude.
100%, right?
100%.
And so we have this like pretty conscious place that we live in. Most of the people here, pretty conscious people that go to this particular school the area we're in. And it's amazing because when we talk to parents in other areas and stuff, and they just talk about how bad the bullying is in these other schools. And we're like maybe heard about it a couple times, maybe, and our kids in grade 6, you know, and we've talked, our kids tell us what's going on and everything. Bullying is not a thing. Like, maybe it happens. I had actually had a conversation with my kids today, because I was like, guys, have you guys ever been bullied? And my son's like, well, bullying is when there's like a repetitive habit happening where it's coming back over and over. It's not just like a one-off.
Right.
It's like a repetitive thing, and like he like educated on bullying. They knew how to deal with bullying. Like I was like, this is a conscious place, and like, and the way he dealt like with situations and so on, I was really amazed. And same with my daughter. So like clearly, like conscious people make an impact,
Yes, of
right?
course,
Yeah,
absolutely.
men, women. You're right. And so this whole like concept, like you're saying, I think, it's I love it. The whole idea about being emotionally connected, being a good listener, seeking to understand, all these things are part of that being conscious.
A hundred
And
percent.
it just all comes back, it's like that's a key element in being conscious. And so back to what Scott was saying, the whole concept of like sharing your or being in tune with your emotions and all that being a weakness and letting emotions guide you and all that kind of stuff. It's nonsense. It truly is nonsense. It's actually the strength. It's our strength when we can experience something and be able to articulate it and to be like, okay, that wasn't cool, or like this is how it's making me feel, or like I'll give you a situation. So my daughter was out today, and I'm giving a little bit more freedom. We were talking about this pre-show. It's like when the kids are growing up, part of the art is to actually let them go, give them that space, give them that feeling like they're not being suffocated,
Right.
and that they can experience the world. So she wanted to go be with her friend and work on some schoolwork together. And so she's like, I'm taking my phone with me. Great. So I can message you. Awesome. I message her, no response. Right. And then I text the mom. I'm like, okay, come back for dinner type thing. And it's like, finally I get a message back at 7:50 p.m.
Yeah.
Right. I'm like, okay.
Hello.
Yeah. So okay. The mom messaged me, sorry, like I was charging my phone and I didn't see your message. So finally my daughter walks into the house, and I'm like, honey, it's 7:50. Okay. So this is the situation I'm going through, is like, you took your phone, but I couldn't reach you. And it's 7:50. And I don't really think like, my sense is that you weren't really paying attention to like eating dinner and that kind of thing. And I just looked at her, and I just like, I could tell she was feeling like she disappointed me. And I just looked at her, and she just walked over to me, and she's like, I'm so sorry, Dad, gave me a hug and just told me what was going on in her world, and that she just got totally distracted and they were so excited about what they were doing. And it was like, great, we just moved on. Right. And I think she'll know that next time, that to be more conscious, and that these things matter, and that, she's got to have her Wi-Fi on for her phone to work, like this kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And, again, it's just coming back to me being in tune. Like I just told her, like I said, I'm just feeling a little disappointed right now.
Right.
And that's how I really felt. And she
Right.
totally tuned in with the emotion that I had and met me with it. And it was like a really great actual bonding experience.
That's awesome. I mean, that's amazing. And feeling the feeling. You know, I as I'm learning and I practice, what I've been learning and practicing almost every day is just exactly what you're talking about, is feeling the feeling, not pushing it down, like feeling I was disappointed. What does that feel like? Like actually physically feeling shit, like my heart was closing a little, like I felt a
Mm-hmm.
little hurt. Like there's a literal physical feeling that goes with a feeling that getting in tune with. If you can get conscious in your body and feel that feeling, this might sound crazy, but it goes away quicker. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
experience it, then you can let it go. It's when I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, no, I shouldn't be feeling guilty, or, you're holding on to it and then you hold it over your kid. And I think that's amazing that you did that and you experienced it. And again, right. So now you can let it go and you're moving forward with a cleaner slate than holding
Mm-hmm.
on to that kind of stuff that just, no, that's, yeah, it's super awesome, dude.
So I want to just actually just share this one other part, because I think
Shoot.
this is a big notice, is that in this situation, I could feel the tension was rising in my body because I couldn't get a hold of her. And it was having an impact
Wow.
actually in how I was responding with my other kids. And
Right.
I was like, whoa, what's this? Like, they were just having fun and being goofs. And normally I don't care, but but the tension was building in my body because of the situation with my daughter. I couldn't reach her, and it was like she wasn't going to be there for family dinner, like that kind of stuff. And that's where I felt like I was a bit of a fail, where it was like, guys, just so you know, like I'm feeling a bit of tension right now, and just explaining, because they were kind of like, what's up with dad? Like, why is he so strict right now? Or like, why is he
Right.
kind of short with us right now? And so yeah, it's amazing how like when we are not in tune with, or like expressing that emotion, and it can really show up as a lack of understanding in another area of our life. And it could be going towards our spouse, could be going towards our kids, and have nothing to do with them.
Absolutely.
And that's where, really tension can rise and disagreements can happen, or misunderstandings, and create distance. And then we know how rapidly that rabbit hole can get, you guys.
I mean, I'll tell
That's
you.
like, you can like, sometimes you just can't reel that back in fast enough. And
That's exactly correct.
right?
And that's exactly correct. And we start acting out of emotion rather than the facts. Feelings aren't facts. They certainly feel, they're very, and then these feelings, and then we start telling ourselves a whole story that may or may not even be relevant at all based on the feelings. And, that is where the work comes in. I think the more in tune we are, the stronger we are with our emotional wellness. We're quicker able to say, okay, that story I'm telling myself is not true. Let that go. This is what's really happening, what's right in front of me. And I don't need to, because it's that story that we keep telling, and we put energy there, and it starts getting worse and worse and worse. And she's, abducted, and, it's a whole story based on, most of the time, things that aren't even true. Like, we associate feelings with different experiences, and getting feelings, I think that has been a super empowering thing, is understanding feelings, feeling them, not being, steered by them, as these emotions come up, and staying the course, like feeling the feelings and staying the course, knowing you're doing the right thing, and not acting. Like, I think a lot of domestic violence and different problems is we get so emotional, we get all into it, and we lose, control of our behaviors based on, a rise in, feelings are a rise in chemical hormones in our body triggered from an event, which is, it's kind of crazy. That is definitely a place of power, when we can experience the feelings and not be totally, get off track. You're staying the course, having faith and confidence that everything's going to work out because you're pointed in the right direction. Because man, I used to let emotions run me, and they'd affect me, and I'd spend all day, thinking about something happening. What did she mean by that? And telling myself a whole story that wasn't even true. So anyway, so that's been a lot of work. It's helped me to my focus when I'm able to stop a lot of those negative stories that go on around an event, so I can stay focused. It's been a life changer. Dealing with feelings, being open to them, because when I was closed, whole different experience. It's much richer when you're kind of alive. When you feel feelings, you're alive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway. Yeah,
so
I think I just summed it up. I'm writing notes here. Right, writing notes
Sum
all
it
the
up,
time.
Scott.
Feelings are real, but they're not facts.
That's right. Feelings aren't facts, and they are real. That's right.
They are definitely real.
100. They're real things. Exactly.
If you're out there, Dad, and you're listening, and you go, well, when I get into that state, I just can't control myself. I get it, and it just snowballs. Just learn to walk away. It's much better to just turn around, walk away.
One thing,
take 5 minutes, go for it.
Amazing. So yes, like when I teach, 100%, Scott, especially like when you're first starting to be aware of these feelings, which are totally real. I talk about in the infant management class, about shaken baby syndrome, and when you're starting to lose your shit, you start getting angry. something to walk away. And, I have some breathing techniques that I work with the guys. And then I used to do this, I would fight the fact that I was feeling that way. So I'd feel frustrated. I was like, I shouldn't feel frustrated. I'm a better man than that. And then I was like, dude, stop judging and just feel it, dude. You're a human. You're frustrated. Feel frustrated. You're angry. Feel angry. Like, there's nothing wrong with feeling that stuff. Just feel it instead of telling yourself the whole story, like, I'm bad, I shouldn't feel guilty, I shouldn't feel horny, I shouldn't feel this way, I shouldn't feel that way. Just, it's real. Feel it and let it go and keep moving on. Anyway, so to your point, yes, agreed. They're not facts, and feelings are definitely real, for real.
So we're probably gone over time again. I think we do this often enough. Can you give us like the Cold Notes version of what it is? Like, we've talked about your program, the Hero Dad's Journey. We talked about the 3 roads, but what is it? Right now, it's a live event, isn't it, that dads can go to? But
Correct.
Am I right?
Yes.
It is going
correct.
to be going online as well?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So
right
give us
now,
the lowdown. What's happening?
I teach it at a local hospital here in Atlanta. There's 2 sessions, the infant management, which is everything to manage an infant, right? So you can stand on your own 2 feet. Your wife gets sick and you're on a dime. You're totally empowered to manage your infant, feeding, changing, soothing, CPR, all of that. And then the second class is birth management, pre-birth skills, then the whole birth, and then postpartum, transition home, recognizing, health and wellness, that kind of thing. And that will be online. May 1st is my launch date. So that is my big push. I'm just so excited so I can reach more guys, because right now, it's live, and which is amazing. And also, to get it out to more dudes will be amazing. And then there's a 3rd class that I put on hold because I really want to get this out. And that is, I call it Modern Fatherhood Skills. And that's where we talk about, I created a little program, a little system, how to, listening to understand is what I call it. And then we talk about intimacy and connection and setting your goals. What do you want out of fatherhood? Just that a little bit bigger. After you get through the initial stuff, some more philosophy, science, art, intimacy, relationship, some fundamentals that if you weren't exposed to them, you just wouldn't know. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Speaking at some conferences, and it's just exciting, man, just to feel like this can really, I am changing. I've reached so many dudes already in person, but it's to make a big impact and really, the world is at such a pivotal place right now, and women are empowered. Dude, we also, it doesn't mean we cannot be empowered also. And then just imagine, your wife's an empowered girl, you're an empowered man, and you can have a healthier home, a more peaceful environment. Right? I mean, the world's crazy. We can come home to a peaceful environment and feel respected. So that's, I love what you guys are doing. This platform's amazing. It's good work, man. We are doing, it's good stuff. It's good stuff, man. I'm excited.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
Thank you, guys.
How can people get in touch with you?
Dr.Nogin at theherodad.com. My website, theherodad.com. I'll have all the information up there, and just excited for what's coming next.
I can find you in the Daddiest group.
And Daddiest, of course. This is a great place to be, man.
If you're listening to this podcast and you want to reach out quickly, if you're already in the group, you got one-on-one, you can get in touch with them 100%. Straight away. And if not, what are you waiting for? You got to be in the group. It's growing every day. It's taking on a life of its own. It's super exciting where we're at and where we're going. and we're just teaming up with amazing guys like this. Like I had no idea who you were, Yale, till you were in the group, and it's awesome. Great
Thanks,
to meet
man.
you.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Till next time.
Peace.
Yeah.
Later, guys.
Thanks for listening. Remember, join our Facebook community, Daddiest, where conscious dads connect and collaborate.